Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Sunday, November 16th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Rutgers game in 6 days. The game against Michigan in 13 days. Holy Moses, the season is flying by. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at Grateful Griddle OH. The vibes are decidedly mixed after Ohio State's 48-10 win over UCLA. I'm joined by Kevin Noon of BuckeyeHuddle.com. It is not Kevin's fault that the vibes are mixed. It is more injury concerns, I think, around the Ohio State program following this game. Coming in, we knew Carnell Tate was out. He was not dressed. He was just in street clothes. Jeremiah Smith was listed as a game-time decision or questionable, and he played, but then didn't look great coming off the field. What did Ryan Day have to say after the game?
Yeah, no lingering concerns. Just want to get him right. Pitch count, all those types of things. Wouldn't really get into huge specifics because, again, coaches are really hinky about getting into injury things, but, they just wanted to get him an opportunity, but, be smart with him. So, it really just kind of seems like a pitch count. Now, the skeptic in me is like, we're not going to see him against Rutgers, are we? Then again, he could have a good week of practice and go in and see the trainers and everything else. But 2 weeks from now, 13 days. Heard it here first. 13 days. That's the final exam.
And I saw a lot of people. You will not believe it. There were some strong opinions on Twitter.com during the course of the game. And, I feel like this is one of these things where we need to sort of emphasize, we know that you, dear Ohio State fan at home, are concerned about Jeremiah Smith and feel that it is important for Jeremiah Smith to be healthy for the Michigan game and that needs to be the top priority. I don't want to shock anyone, but the coaching staff also probably shares that view, shares that priority, and is aware that the Michigan game is less than 2 weeks away now. So, I think there is a little bit, I don't think you always need to be, in all senses, a defer to authority person, but also Jeremiah Smith is seeing actual professional medical doctors during the week and is being, is a high priority individual within the football facility. So I think you kind of have to look at that and go, well, these people aren't idiots, so they're probably, this probably is not necessarily full crisis mode like the way people are maybe sort of trying to make it out to be.
He's getting far better medical care than I am. Probably you, and probably most of our viewers out there right now. If it were crisis mode, we wouldn't have seen him out there. They had him listed as questionable. They really dragged the availability report. I just don't think they wanted to hit send on it. There's a deadline by the Big Ten, and I think they got it in there at the last second. And I think that there are going to be people. I read some wild ass guesses out there. Don't demonetize us about Tate's done for the year and things like that. And it's just, there's just, everybody so desperately wants to get out there and throw something against the wall. If it sticks, you're a genius, and if not, people will forget it. But, we sat there and we talked to Ryan Day after this, and, it seems like everything seems to be moving in the right directions, but we've never been misled before.
Yeah, it's, I think probably stow your panic until it is proven warranted, which I don't think we were at that point right now.
Until you don't see neither of them on the bus to Ann Arbor.
Right, yeah. At that point, you have my permission to panic, but probably not before then. And in Carnell Tate, I don't think there has been a material change to Carnell Tate's status. It was just he probably could have gone last week. He probably could go this week. The fact that they're treating him a little more cautiously is probably a decent sign for what that might mean for Jeremiah Smith. All right, that is the end of General Hospital. Now on to the football. And it was a solid, workmanlike performance for Ohio State. They outgained UCLA by 2 yards a play. It was much more lopsided than that before they put the backups in and UCLA started moving the ball a little bit. 23 for 31 for 184 yards and a touchdown for Julian Sayin, just fine.
That's pretty pedestrian for him.
Very pedestrian.
He came in at 74%, well under his 81%, one touchdown pass, well under his 3 or 4 that he's been getting. But you sit there on the other side and you look and they ran for 222 yards.
Yeah. and 6.7 yards per carry without having a 70-yarder or an 80-yarder to sort of skew things. Bo Jackson, 15 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah West, 8 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown. James Peoples, 6 carries, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 incredible hurdle. It was, this was, in terms of the running game, maybe one of the best games that they've had this season. And UCLA's defense is not amazing, but this is what you would certainly hope the running game would look like against a defense that isn't amazing.
I don't have the numbers in front of me because I have Tony's computer in front of me, but I think this is probably the first game this season where Ohio State outrushed its passing numbers.
Yes, well, yeah, and they didn't do it by much, 222 to 218, but it was, and so in case you were fans of the Bold Prediction Show, they did not get to 220, 220. Tony was...
Well, how many points was that?
I believe it was 2. He was apoplectic about that. We're not going to talk about anything else with the Bold Prediction Show. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the game.
No, I think we're here to talk about bold predictions.
So it was, the defense was really good, and then when they put in the backups, it started looking like, oh, these guys aren't quite as good as the starters. Which, yeah, that's how it works. Against the starters, 3 plays, 2 yards punt, 5 plays, 18 yards punt, 6 plays, 14 yards punt, 3 plays, 7 yards punt, 4 plays, negative 11 yards punt, 4 plays, 8 yards downs, 3 plays, negative 8 yards punt. That seems like a pretty good day of work for Matt Patricia and his guys.
Yeah, I mean, they really had them stymied. I mean, obviously, with UCLA having to run its backup quarterback,
Sure.
making his first action on a roster filled with names that I, as a big college football fan, didn't really know who they were. They did a really good job of shutting them down. I think UCLA had 50 yards of total offense in the first half. I mean, it was a very good game for that. I mean, somebody pointed out, well, they didn't have any sacks. You also, you completely dominated them, and sure, 10 points is a little bit more than what they've been giving up on the season, but again, that was against the 2s and the 3s, and you're just going to have that, especially, now you're in November. You've got to sit there and really keep guys on pitch counts because there's no real time to sit there and get right. I mean, you got Rutgers where, that game's going to be what it is, and then you got Michigan.
Yeah, and Ohio State now 10-0, and that feels like that's worth mentioning, that Ohio State is now 10-0, and basically there's no way they miss the college football playoff at this point. There has been, there has always been if something really stupid happens and then something else really stupid happens and then they lose at Michigan, then maybe. But you're now at the point where you're a 10-2 Ohio State team is going to make the college football playoff. Yeah. So, that's almost as much of a formality as when they were bowl eligible, and we kind of, almost made a joke of it that they're 6-0.
6-0.
Yeah, now they're 10-0, so now they're college football playoff more or less certified. So this is just, does that mean a lot? No. But it's just one more step you've got to sort of cross on the way there. So now, next week against Rutgers, Senior Day, obviously that's always a big event, but...
That's Ryan's father.
That's Senior Day, his uncle,
okay.
Yes, his uncle from Mexico, yes. It is a day where the game is almost secondary. It's, I think number one, getting guys healthy into onto the bus on the way to Ann Arbor, and number two, getting, just win the game. You got to win the game by 3 points. It doesn't matter. If you win the game by 10 points, great. If you win the game by 17 points, great. It doesn't matter. The difference between winning the game by 30 points and 17 points or 10 points doesn't matter at all. No one's going to care. No one's going to remember. That's the game where as soon as we walk out of this building, really almost as soon as the game ends, there's almost never any questions about the game. It's always immediately turn the page and the next, and that's less than a week away.
Right. I mean, there are always certain events where it's well, that's going to be the least read story, and whatever the second to last game of the regular season is. And there were years where the schedule makers did not like Ohio State, and they got Penn State, and then they would get Michigan, and that would be a little bit different. But when you sit there and you end up with Rutgers, it's going to be all right. I don't care. Get us onto the next one, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, so we'll see how they handle injury stuff. We'll see how they handle managing pitch counts, managing load management, whatever it is. We'll see how that's probably going to be one of the big stories this week. We'll be talking about that all week long at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We'll have our usual slate of coverage. You can expect the Ryan Day press conference on Tuesday. We'll have the player and coach interviews Wednesday night after practice. We'll have the usual Ross Fulton breakdowns and all that kind of good stuff for you all week long. Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning, Buckeye Weekly, Buckeye.
I may even write a tale of the tape.
Oh.
I'm obligated. It's in my contract.
Yes, we'll have Kevin's signature Tale of the Tape series as well at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That is exclusive to members on the Huddle board presented by Jeff Ruby, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.